about my law school experience today. Now, I do just want to say this is my experience, so please keep that in mind. This does not mean that this is going to be your law school experience. I highly encourage you to research and to talk to other people who have attended law school so that you can get an idea of what it's like for different people. Everyone's going to have a very different experience. We'll also talk about the LSAT and some tips, tricks, and other things that I picked up along the way. So if you are researching law school, thinking about applying, or if you're just really curious, then I hope that this video is helpful for you. All right, just some basic things about law school. It is a professional graduate level degree. It's a 3-year program, so after you complete the 3 years, you will have a Juris Doctorate degree, a JD, and then once you have graduated and you get your JD degree, you will have to take the bar exam for whatever state you want to practice law in. Now, the bar exam does cover federal law as well, but it is mostly state specific. Some states have reciprocity with each other, so if you have, if you're barred in one state, you've passed the bar exam in one state, and you've practiced for the certain number of years that they require, then sometimes you can apply for reciprocity and be admitted to the bar in another state. But those rules change. Don't count on that. Just plan on having to take the bar exam for each state. It is a state-specific exam. To get into law school, you will have to take the LSAT, which is the law school admissions test. It is a difficult test in my opinion. It's just not a very, it just doesn't flow very well. It's a lot about logical reasoning and reading comprehension. In my opinion, it's just a lot of ridiculousness. I do think it tests your aptitude for certain skills, but I don't think that it's the best measure of that. So it is a test that is learnable. So don't panic about the LSAT. There are plenty of review courses that you can take. You want to do well on the LSAT, so take it seriously and do take a review course. If you don't do very well on the LSAT, maybe law school is not for you. It does show kind of the way that you will be taught to think in law school, but it's not the end-all be-all. Now, you will have to have an undergrad, a bachelor's degree to apply for law school, but one of the things that I think is really cool is that you can have whatever degree you want to have. So in other professional degree programs, for example, medical school, you do have to have a certain set requirement, certain sciences, certain classes that you have to have taken in order to apply to med school. But for law school, you can have any background that you want. And I thought that was really cool. That was a really distinguishing factor for me. Once I was in law school, I loved to see the wide variety of people that were in law school, people from a lot of different backgrounds. There were certainly the ones that were more traditional, like political science majors, but I went to law school with a nurse, a firefighter. There were a lot of engineers. There was a Spanish major. My undergrad was in business. My focus was on marketing and international business. So I had a business background, but really there were a lot of different people. So keep that in mind. There are no requirements for your undergraduate degree. It can be in whatever that you want. So take something that you enjoy. Don't think that you have to take only political science classes, but you will have to have an actual bachelor's degree and then take the LSAT as well. And then after that, you know, most of the time you have to write personal essays, or each school has different requirements. There are programs that help you kind of get your applications together. So once you have those requirements and you've done your applications, you apply to law school and you hopefully are accepted. Let me talk a little bit about why I went to law school. A lot of people ask me if I would recommend going to law school, why I went, if I would do it over again, you know, all these like very typical questions. And I have to tell you guys, I did not go to law school because it was my biggest passion in the world. I did not go to law school because I thought I was going to be a high-profile attorney working on these like big-time cases. That was not my mission in going to law school. So again, keep that in mind. I do think, you know, there are different reasons for going to law school. If you want to be a high-profile attorney, I think that's fantastic. Definitely pursue law school. One of the reasons why I like to talk about law school and I feel it's important for me to share my story about law school is because I didn't go thinking that I wanted to be a lawyer for the rest of my life. So I knew that I would practice law and I knew that I'd be a lawyer, and I was happy doing that. But for me, I went to law school more because I wanted to gain skills that I thought would help me in building businesses. They would help me along my path of entrepreneurship. And I also knew that a law degree was very versatile and it would really help me in any other areas that I pursued. So just keep that in mind. I think there are two, kind of distinct reasons people go to law school. Some people want to be on this attorney path. They are on the way to becoming partner and that is their mission. And I think that's great. But I think if you know that you want a professional degree, you want higher education, then I think law school is a good option for you. Now keep in mind, it is difficult and it is expensive depending on where you go to school. So it's not something that you want to just kind of do on a whim. I mean, take it seriously, do your research, but also know that if you're kind of not sure what you want to do, but you want a professional degree, I do think law school is a good choice for you. Just be smart and make good choices along the way and while you're in law school. Another reason I went to law school is because education is extremely important for me. I really believe in higher education, especially as a woman. I'm in the US and I am so fortunate that I have access to all of this education around me. But there are girls in other parts of the world, in developing countries, that are not allowed to go to school. They're not allowed to go to school just because they are a girl. So I think it's so important for us, especially as women, to take advantage of this. I believe that education is a right that everyone should have. Education is a right, and I just think it's so sad that there are people in this world that are denied access to education. So I feel that because I am blessed and fortunate enough to have access to basically unlimited education around me, I take that very seriously and I want to really use that and take advantage of the things that are around me. I believe that the things that you learn in school really go beyond just the skills that you learn. So of course you get a degree and you learn skills, but I believe that going to school teaches us things that are really beyond the curriculum. I think you learn discipline, social skills, things like that. And I really believe that any kind of education, whether it is formal, higher education, whatever it is, I really believe that education makes us more rounded and better people. Now, I'm not saying that you have to have an education to be a good person. Please don't get me wrong. I really believe that these are bounties that are around us that we should be taking part in. So I take education very seriously, and that was another reason why I wanted to pursue further education, and because I knew that I wanted to build a business for myself and kind of choose the career and the life that I wanted and build it in a way that I wanted, I felt that law school would be a good fit for me because of, again, the skills that I would learn and also because how versatile the degree was. So a little bit about law school. Now, it is difficult. It's highly competitive and it's just plain hard. There's no way around it. It is a very difficult program, but I do also think it's manageable. So let me tell you guys, first of all, I went to law school in Chicago. I did go to a top school. It certainly wasn't #1 in the country or anything like that, but I did go to a very good school. I personally don't think the school matters that much. But again, remember, the way I approached law school was that I wanted a degree and I wanted to gain these skills to kind of pursue other things. So if you're going to law school because you do want to be a big shot lawyer, then I do think your school is going to make a little bit more of a difference. So I did want to go to a good school. I didn't want to just go to some, flaky online university or whatever. Like I did, it was important to me what school I went to, but the ranking and that kind of stuff wasn't the deciding factor for me. It was something that I considered. But again, if you're on a different path than I was, then maybe you want to pay a little bit more attention to the school that you go to. But for me, there were other things that were factors for me, other things that I considered. So the school was important to me, but I did also want to be in a cool city. I was moving to a new city to go to school. So for me, the location made a difference. It might not make a difference for you, but I was living in downtown Chicago. So for me, that was important. I wanted to go somewhere that I was gonna enjoy living for 3 years. So I was really happy to be in Chicago. I had visited before, but I had never lived there. So I thoroughly enjoyed my time there. Absolutely loved being in Chicago. And then another factor for me was, again, the environment. So I was really lucky in that I was accepted to different schools. I had a choice in where I wanted to go. So I just went and visited the schools that I was accepted into, and I talked to people. I mean, I took it seriously. I talked to students, I talked to professors. You know, you get a feeling, you see kind of how it feels to be in that school. What is the environment? What's the vibe there? Those were things that were important to me, and I think those are things that really contribute to having a positive law school experience. I felt comfortable where I was. I enjoyed the school. I felt like it was, you know, a nice place. They had nice amenities, but also the people gave me a good feeling. So I know that sounds kind of hokey, but I do also think it's true and it makes a difference. You want to go somewhere where you feel at home. You're going to be spending a lot of time at law school, and sometimes it's going to be highly stressful. So make sure that you are in a school where you feel supported and welcome and that you're actually happy. And I think that, again, like I said, makes a big difference and makes for a positive law school experience. All right, so my tips for surviving law school. Keep in mind, like I said, that it is extremely difficult, and most of the time it's graded on a curve. So that means that the majority of the people are in the middle, and then just a few people are at the very top with A's, and a few people are at the very bottom with D's. Now, there are different systems for grading. It's probably going to be different for whatever school that you go to. But as far as I understand, in most schools, there's a certain percentage of people that have to get an A, but there's also a certain percentage that have to get a D. So it's not like if everyone does well, then everyone can get an A. It doesn't work like that. So remember, it is competitive. So I did a lot of research, and I would always hear, you know, horror stories about how competitive law school is. Let's say, for example, there was an article in the library that everyone had to read. Well, I would always hear how like there would be this one student that would go in and like rip out 2 pages of the article so that no one else would have the information that they needed in class. I never experienced that. I mean, it is competitive. Everyone's competing against each other, but I really had a positive experience. I distinctly remember the night before an exam, I was on a 3-way call with me and 2 other girls that I was in school with, and one of the girls was teaching us about a very specific area of law. She understood that concept really well, and she was kind enough to spend a long time explaining it to me and my other friend that was in school with us. And you guys, that was one of the questions on the exam the next day. The exam was only 4 questions. So essentially, she taught me a whole 25% of that exam the night before, just because she was a nice person. So just know that I do think you can have a positive experience. A lot of it, again, is the people that you surround yourself with. But you are going to have to study. I remember at orientation, I think it was like the first or second day of school, they told us that you should treat law school like a 9-to-5 job. So that meant that you went to school every day at 9 a.m. Now, you may not have a class at 9 a.m., but you're in the library studying. Maybe you have class at 11. You know, you work it out, but you are at school or studying every day from 9 to 5. And if you do that, if you treat law school like a job, then they said in orientation that you would have a little bit better of a balance between school and your life. And that's pretty much what I tried to stick to. Now, sometimes, you know, I wasn't very good at it. Sometimes I didn't study as much as I should have, but I did really try to treat it as that kind of 9-to-5 schedule, and it worked really well for me. Again, I was in a new city and I wanted to explore Chicago. I was making new friends. I was having new experiences. So for me, I wanted, that part of it was important for me as well. Of course, I was taking school seriously, but I did want to balance that with being in Chicago. So I found that for the most part, I had my nights and my weekends because I really was focused during the day. So I think that's a really good tip. If you can treat law school like a 9-to-5 job, you will have time for other activities. So just how difficult is law school? To give you guys an idea, in high school and college, I was a straight A student. I did study, but I did pretty well. I mean, I didn't have to really study too hard to do well in high school and college. So I feel like I'm a pretty intelligent woman. Like I said, straight A's in high school and college. When I got to law school, you guys, it was so hard that there were times where if I got a C in a class, it was time for a joyous celebration. I was taking my friends out to dinner. I couldn't be happier to just get a C in a class. So just to give you guys an idea, it is difficult. Now also keep in mind, again, I was in a new city, so probably didn't study as much as I really should have, but I did study. And again, for me, it was just a totally different level, and I had to really adjust my expectations. Everyone in law school is smart. You are with the cream of the crop. So if you're a smart person now and you're in college and doing really well and you're smarter than a lot of your peers, just remember that when you get to law school, everyone's smart. You're gonna be with all the smart people, so you will be competing with them. It is difficult, but I do think it's very manageable and very doable. So other things to keep in mind for law school, there are a lot of different opportunities, and you should be as involved as you can be. Now, again, you're gonna be studying, it's gonna be difficult if you're in a new city, you're gonna have other experiences in your personal life, so you will have to try to balance all of that, but be as involved as you can be. If you can get onto a journal, that's really a great way to be involved. You learn skills. If you can intern during the summer or get a job, even just as a law clerk at a firm, you can clerk with federal judges. I mean, there's a lot of different things that you can do to get practical work experience, and I think that's very important. I think something that people don't realize about law school is it's very theory-based. They are teaching you how to think, logical reasoning, logical thinking, things like that. They're not gonna just put a briefcase in your hand and send you to court on the first day. That's not what you're gonna learn. A lot of it is a lot more theory-based. You will learn the law, things like that, but they do use the Socratic method. So just keep in mind that you do want to get practical work experience, and in whatever way that can be. You know, I had an internship with just a solo practitioner. It was a very small firm, but I really learned a lot because I was given a lot of responsibility. Some people might want to be in a larger firm. You can intern for, you know, the 2 summers of law school, and you can pick a place that you think you really want to work when you graduate. So that helps too. You know, you can network with them. So choose where you want to work, but do work. Do get an internship because that's really where you're going to learn the practical skills of actually being a lawyer. Also, network as much as you can and with everyone. That means talk to your professors, let them get to know you, make sure that they know who you are. Join a bar association. They allow students, law students, to join bar associations. So join every single one that you can. Go to events, talk to people. Again, the school that you go to and your grades are important, but who you know is just as important. I can't stress this enough. It's so important to network, especially in the legal community. One of the best jobs I ever got, it was my most favorite one. I loved the environment. I loved my boss. I had a lot of responsibility. It was, you know, one of those hotshot lawyer jobs, but I probably was not as qualified for that job as I should have been. But I got that job because I had networked and because the people knew me and they liked me and they trusted that I would do a good job and I would learn and I would do what I needed to do. So I do think that networking is key. It's never too early to start networking. So from day one, network, be nice to the people that you go to school with, be nice to your classmates, help them and they will help you. You know, don't be naive, but also remember that you need a relationship with the people that you go to school with because that's important. They will help you. So network with your classmates, network with your professors, bar associations, other attorneys, anyone you can meet and build a relationship with and establish a relationship with, then do it. Now also, there are things like mock trial and moot court. Mock trial is where you kind of pretend to be a lawyer at a trial level, and then moot court is where you go to the appellate level. It's where you pretend to be a lawyer at the appellate level. Again, these are the things that where you learn skills. So they're kind of like clubs on campus that you can be involved in, but these are the places where you learn the practical skills of being a lawyer. So if that's something that you're interested in, you know, if you think that you want to be a trial lawyer, or if you just even want to gain those skills, then join those organizations and be involved. So, do I recommend law school? Would I go back again if I had to do it all over again? I think so, yes. I don't know. I don't know how to answer that question. Like I have said, certainly had a very positive experience. I was in a great environment. I liked the school that I was at. So for me, that, you know, makes me think that yes, I probably would go to law school again. I think the skills that I learned were invaluable. It was expensive, so you know, that's something that you do want to think about as well. I mean, if you go to a private school, or you know, some state schools are even expensive, so think about that too. Let that be a factor in deciding. You know, I'm not going to say 100% without a doubt you should go to law school. I do think it's a versatile degree. I do think it'll serve you well. You know, for me, I knew that I wanted to make my community better, and I wanted to be involved in my community, and I view having a law degree as one avenue that will help me in that. But I don't see it as, you know, I have a law degree, so I'm going to change the world and make it a better place. You know, I don't think those two things have to necessarily go hand in hand. I think if you want to go to law school to make the world a better place, then you can. But I don't think that that's just a prerequisite that you must have. I think it's a tool, and that's how I viewed it. I view my law degree as a tool in my toolbox, just something else that's going to help me to, you know, hopefully make the world a little bit better in the activities that I'm involved in, and also is going to help me in building a life that I love, building a business, and creating a life where I'm happy. So I view it as a tool. I don't think that it's the end all be all. So I don't know. I can't tell you if you should go or not, but I do think it's a versatile degree. I do think it will help you in the future, but I don't think it's something that you must have in order to be successful in business, or in life even. I mean, I don't think that it's a prerequisite for being happy and successful. I do think it's something that'll help you. So just keep in mind, it is a time investment. It is a financial investment. You will have to study. It will be difficult, but I do think it's worth it. So if you think that you can handle all those things, then I really do believe that you'll be able to manage law school and have, you know, a somewhat enjoyable time. I think you will get to socialize, maybe not as much as usual. You probably have to make some sacrifices, but you can have a relatively normal life and go to law school. Now, again, I probably should have said this. This is all based on if you are just a full-time law student. So this is not if you are, you know, working and also going to school. You know, if you have a full-time job and you're going to law school part-time, that's a whole nother story. So, you know, my experience is just based on being a full-time law student. I was able to focus on that, and, you know, the work that I did and the jobs that I had were legal related, and they were kind enough to revolve around my law school schedule. So if you have to work at just a job, like a regular job, and then go to law school, that's totally different. So anyway, I hope that sharing my experience with you all was helpful. I hope that it helps you in trying to figure out if you should go to law school, what you have to do to even get in, and I hope that it was helpful in teaching you hopefully some tips and tricks so that you can have a positive law school experience. I do definitely think that that is possible. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you have any further questions about law school, or if this is a topic that you're interested in and you want to hear more in depth about any of the areas that I touched on, certainly leave any of your questions or requests down below. I'm happy to talk about it because I think a lot of what people say about law school is negative, and I had kind of a different experience, so I'm happy to share that with you guys. Again, learn from other people, talk to them, but also, you know, there is a time where it's just too much information, so, you know, just at some point you just gotta make the decision and go with it. So anyway, I hope this was helpful for you guys. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, then please give this video a like. Leave any other questions that you have have down below, and make sure that you're subscribed to my channel. I will see you guys really soon. Bye.